Intimacy of touch with moon in Bharani Nakshatra. With the moon in Bharani, touch is elemental, a force of life, death, and rebirth. It's never just about contact, it's about charge. Your body responds to touch not lightly, but completely, as if it were a transmission. A hand on your skin can open ancient doors or trigger inner alarms. For you, touch must be earned, not assumed. It must feel sacred, not scattered. You are deeply sensual, yes, but your sensuality comes with gravity. You don't flinch from intimacy, you descend into it. But only when the environment is right. You need presence, containment, and depth. Fleeting affection can feel irritating. Superficial contact can feel like noise. If someone touches you without attunement, your body may go rigid, not out of coldness, but out of inner boundary violation. Bharani is ruled by Yama, god of restraint and transition. So even though your moon hungers for closeness, it also carries a sacred limit. You may crave the full surrender of touch, but only if you trust that the other person can hold you through the intensity. You do not casually receive affection. You merge. And that merging needs respect. You might pull someone in with slow magnetism, not flashy gestures. You might crave being enveloped rather than poked at. You prefer still touch over fidgety hands, pressure over tickles, a grounded embrace over chaotic strokes. What matters isn't the quantity of touch, it's the integrity of it. You open most to those who understand your current, not just your surface. When touch becomes possessive or controlling, however, your inner fire reacts. You might become defensive, suddenly cold, or even emotionally volcanic. Your moon is protective. It won't tolerate being handled without reverence. Touch that tries to own you will not last, but touch that holds you while honoring your autonomy, that's holy. In relationships, your touch is unforgettable. It's not always frequent, but when it lands, it's searing. You may cradle a partner in ways that make them feel reborn, or soothe someone's heart with a single steady palm on their chest. You know how to transmit safety, desire, and devotion without words, but only when your emotional boundaries are intact. To deepen this intimacy, start by naming your touch language. Try, I don't do well with rushed or random affection, it needs presence. Or, touch works for me when it carries weight, not assumption. These aren't demands, they are ritual cues. They teach others how to reach you without waking your internal guards. And allow yourself to soften before you're certain it's safe. Let someone kiss your hand before your thoughts are ready. Let yourself be cradled in silence. Let someone rub your back while you cry, even if your instinct is to tough it out alone. Sometimes, letting yourself be held is how the grief, the joy, and the passion can finally move through. Because when touch becomes not an invasion, but an initiation, when it meets you with depth, care, and no rush to conquer, your Bharani moon finds what it was born to feel. An intimacy that is not only physical, but existential. A love that touches not just your body, but the entire cycle of who you are and who you're becoming. Intimacy of sensate with moon in Bharani Nakshatra. With the moon in Bharani, sensation is a gateway to truth. You don't just experience the world through your senses, you digest it. You register tone before words, energy before content, and tension before action. Your nervous system is attuned to pleasure and pain with equal clarity. This makes sensate intimacy deeply alive for you, but also sacred, selective, and demanding. You are drawn to richness, texture, flavor, heat, a voice that lands in the body, not just the ears, scents that stir memory, skin that speaks its own language. You crave sensation that feels deliberate, that signals devotion, not distraction. Casual stimulation does little for you. Your moon needs embodied presence to feel secure. Without it, even beautiful things can seem empty. You receive love through sensory depth, a slow massage, the weight of a lover's hand at the small of your back, the softness of sheets after an emotionally raw day. You want to feel met on every sensory plane. But overstimulation, especially without emotional alignment, can leave you feeling invaded. You don't just react to what is offered, you react to how and when it's offered. Bharani's rulership by Venus and Yama brings an unusual duality. You desire sensual immersion, but also require restraint. You can't be hurried into intimacy. If your body feels pushed or rushed, it may close like a steel door. Your moon prefers intensity that arrives slowly, respectfully. Not because you're fragile, but because you're potent and need sensation that knows how to stay. This makes you especially sensitive to aesthetic and environmental harmony. Lighting, temperature, smells, these are not trivial to you. They're emotional indicators. You can feel emotionally misaligned in a space that's chaotic or poorly curated. The more intentional the space, the more safe your body feels to open. Sensate safety precedes emotional safety for you. You also possess an extraordinary ability to transmit sensuality. A glance, a slowed breath, a shift in posture, you can seduce without a single touch. You give sensory cues that are nuanced, primal, and unforgettable. And in relationships, you often awaken your partner's dormant senses simply by existing in your own body fully. To deepen this kind of intimacy, speak your sensate truth. Say, "I don't just hear words, I feel tone. Please be mindful of it." Or, "Sensation matters deeply to me. It tells me whether I'm safe, not just stimulated." These invitations help others honor your internal tempo and allow yourself to receive sensation before meaning. Let music move you without decoding the lyrics. Let a scent take you somewhere without explaining the memory. Let the feeling of another's hand brushing yours be enough. You don't always need to translate. Sometimes your body knows before your mind does. And that's holy too. Because when sensation becomes not spectacle but soul signal, when every sense is treated as a language of trust, not exploitation, your Bharani moon finds the intimacy it craves. Connection that doesn't just look good or feel good, but rings true in every fiber of your being. A love that doesn't skim the surface, but reverberates through the body like a vow. Intimacy of kindness with moon in Bharani Nakshatra. Kindness for your Bharani moon must have substance. It's not sweet words or light gestures that reach you. It's grounded care, felt in action. You don't melt from charm alone. You soften when kindness shows up with strength, holding your hand through intensity, standing by you when you're not easy, offering comfort without making you feel weak. For you, kindness is never performative. It is protective, devotional, and it must have weight. Your emotional landscape is deep and transformational. So kindness that only operates on the surface, smiles with no spine, affection that avoids discomfort, can feel hollow. Your moon doesn't want to be managed. It wants to be met. Not with pity, but with presence. Not with detachment, but with endurance. You feel safest when kindness is durable enough to weather your inner storms, not just entertain your better moods. This means your trust is often built slowly. You notice whether people are kind when it's inconvenient, whether they stay kind when your pain is not poetic. You don't need grand gestures. You need truth-tethered care. A partner who listens when your voice shakes. A friend who respects your silence instead of rushing to fill it. Someone who doesn't make your intensity feel too much to love. There's a fierce tenderness in you. You're not soft in the conventional sense, but you care deeply and loyally. You might show your kindness by nourishing your partner with food, tending to their stress before they name it, or defending them when they feel small. But even in giving, you need it to flow both ways. If kindness feels one-sided, your moon begins to contract. You withdraw, not as punishment, but as self-protection. And beneath that contraction is often a buried ache. Why won't someone care for me the way I care for them? Your Bharani moon may carry wounds of being the strong one, the reliable one, the one whose needs go unspoken. But true kindness, the kind you deserve, doesn't see your strength as a reason to give you less. It sees it as a reason to honor you more. To deepen this intimacy, say what kindness feels like to you. Try, "I feel safest when care is backed by consistency, not just affection." Or, "Kindness for me means staying through discomfort, not just cheering in good moments." These truths invite people to rise to your standard, not out of pressure, but out of reverence. And allow yourself to receive gentleness in forms that don't match your usual strength. Let someone rub your feet while you rest. Let them say, "You don't have to carry it all today," without needing to prove otherwise. Let your walls soften, not because you're weak, but because you're finally safe. Because when kindness becomes not appeasement but anchoring, when it sees your power and still chooses to nurture your vulnerability, your Bharani moon finds the kind of intimacy it was forged for. Fierce, mutual, unwavering care. A love that doesn't just protect your heart, but honors its fire and its fragility with equal devotion. Intimacy of growth with moon in Bharani Nakshatra. Growth for your Bharani moon is never neutral. It is visceral, transformative, and often painfully beautiful. You do not evolve in small, quiet shifts. You shed skin. You burn through layers. You rebirth yourself in ways that rupture and regenerate your emotional core. So for intimacy to feel real, it must be able to hold this intensity of becoming. You cannot stay in a love that fears change. You are change, and your moon demands a love that can rise with it. Ruled by Venus and Yama, Bharani carries the paradox of creation through destruction. You grow by letting go of attachments, of outdated emotional truths, of versions of yourself that no longer fit. And any relationship that clings to who you were will eventually feel like confinement. Your moon does not resist intimacy, but it outgrows stagnation quickly. To remain in love, you must feel free to transform within it. You are drawn to partners who respect your metamorphosis, not those who mourn your shifts. You need someone who sees your evolving desires not as threats, but as sacred signals. Someone who celebrates when you reclaim your fire, who doesn't make you choose between your relationship and your growth. Someone who says, evolve, and I'll meet you there. But here's your growing edge. Sometimes you push too hard, too fast. You may dive into change before your emotional body has time to integrate. You may leave before you've allowed love the chance to evolve with you. Your moon craves liberation, but it also carries a deep longing to be held through the process, not just released into it. Real intimacy invites you to grow in relationship, not only by stepping away from it. You are also someone who triggers growth in others. Your presence has a catalytic effect. Your honesty, your fire, your emotional intensity, all of it forces people to confront their own edges. This makes you magnetic and intimidating. You don't offer comfort in place of growth. You offer growth as comfort. But in doing so, remember, not everyone grows at your pace. Deep intimacy is found in mutual pacing, not emotional conquest. To deepen this intimacy, name your rhythm. Say, I change quickly, but I don't want to lose people who matter to me. Or, I need room to grow, and I want someone who can evolve with me, not hold me still. These words create pathways, not ultimatums. They invite others into your sacred chaos without being devoured by it. And let yourself be softened by love that's slow. Let someone stay steady while you burn through another layer. Let them witness, not fix, the parts of you still raw from your last shedding. Let love anchor your becoming, not interrupt it. You don't always need newness to grow. Sometimes, you need devotion that doesn't flinch while you bloom in pain. Because when growth becomes not a reason to leave, but a reason to deepen, when it is met with presence instead of fear, your Bharani moon finds the intimacy it was designed to house. A love forged in fire, faithful through change, and reborn as often as you are. A love that doesn't just survive your evolution, but becomes more luminous because of it. Intimacy of activity with moon and Bharani. For your Bharani moon, activity isn't just movement, it's meaning in motion. You don't bond by merely being near someone, you connect by doing with them. With purpose, presence, and intensity, whether it's cooking a meal, building a life, or walking side by side in mutual silence, activity for you is sacred when it reflects shared investment. You give your energy where there is weight, not fluff. You are not the type to float through passive companionship. Mundane, habitual togetherness with no emotional depth can feel like slow suffocation to your moon. You crave activity that builds something, a stronger bond, a shared experience, a deeper truth. You prefer rituals over repetition, soul in the structure. Even your chores can become intimate if they feel like acts of devotion, but if they become rote, you disengage. There's a visceral quality to how you express love through action. You might prepare a meal that heals, tackle a project together that matters, organize a space so it feels safe and alive. Your moon thrives in relationships where activity is not obligation, but embodied care. Where showing up, helping out, planning, building are seen as acts of love, not just tasks. And yet, activity can also be your way of avoiding emotional vulnerability. You may keep busy as a form of control. When feelings get murky or overwhelming, your instinct might be to do something rather than feel through it. Your Bharani moon doesn't like emotional passivity. It wants momentum. But real intimacy sometimes asks for stillness, and this can be your growth edge, letting activity be a bridge, not a bypass. You also need autonomy in shared activities. A partner who insists on constant togetherness may feel suffocating. You thrive when you can choose what to join and when to step back to restore your energy. Activity, for you, must feel chosen, not imposed. It must carry a pulse, not a prescription. To deepen this intimacy, share your truth. Say, I feel closest to people when we're building or doing something together, not just talking about it. Or, I show love through action, but I also need space to act from freedom, not expectation. These aren't excuses. They are invitations to co-create a rhythm that honors both your fire and your flow. And let yourself lean into activities that don't always have a clear outcome. Walk without a goal. Play without a plan. Let your body move with someone, not just for something. Let activity be presence, not performance. Because when activity becomes not pressure, but partnership, when it's rooted in shared meaning and sacred motion, your Bharani moon finds a deeply nourishing form of intimacy. Love that labors with you, not over you. A bond that doesn't need to rest still to be real, because it's always becoming, always alive, always building something. Lush! Intimacy of allowance with moon in Bharani Nakshatra. For your Bharani moon, allowance is not passive. It's profound respect. To be truly intimate with you means to honor your becoming, even when it's messy, slow, or nonlinear. Your emotional life moves through cycles of containment and release, of death and rebirth. So the deepest love for you is not the one that molds you, but the one that makes room for your full unfolding without trying to edit your process. You are intense, instinctual, and full of emotional force. And yet, beneath that power, your moon is tenderly protective of its privacy and pace. When someone expects you to stay consistent, predictable, or easy to digest, you may quietly or not so quietly rebel. You were not made to fit. You were made to transform. And that transformation requires space, grace, time. Allowance for you means being able to be in process, without being rushed to explain or arrive. Some days, you may want total closeness. Others, silence. Some cycles, you may crave intensity and creation. Others, solitude and rest. When your rhythms are allowed, not pathologized, when you are witnessed, not managed, your moon begins to trust. But here's the complexity. You don't always allow yourself the same space. You can be hard on yourself when you're not productive, passionate, or emotionally clear. You hold yourself to high internal standards, and when you fall short, your inner critic can be brutal. Part of your intimacy journey is learning that you don't need to earn rest, that you don't need to justify every emotional state to deserve love. Bharani's rulership by Yama, the god of boundaries and thresholds, gives you the emotional task of living with limits while honoring freedom. You carry a deep wisdom about what must end and what must be reborn. But you need people who don't flinch when you stand at those thresholds. People who don't try to pull you back into comfort when you are clearly meant to move forward, even if it looks like chaos from the outside. You also allow others in a deeply radical way. When you love someone, you hold space for their darkness and desire. You don't need them to be clean, easy, or linear. You offer allowance not as indifference, but as devotional space. You love people as they are and as they are becoming. To deepen this intimacy, speak to your cycles. Say, I shift often, and when I'm given room for that, I offer even more love. Or, I need space to evolve emotionally without needing to explain each step. These truths don't alienate, they orient. They show others how to move with you instead of against you. And allow yourself to receive this gift in return. Let someone see you when you're not at your peak. Let yourself be forgiven without asking. Let someone stay even when you feel messy, incoherent, or undone. Not because you're helpless, but because you're human. Because when allowance becomes not withdrawal but witnessing, when your ever-changing emotional truth is met with presence instead of pressure, your Bharani moon finds the intimacy it was born to hold. Love that doesn't clip your growth or cage your fire, but stands open at the threshold, whispering, "Come as you are. I can hold all of it. I choose all of you." Intimacy of giving with moon or a nakshatra. Giving for your Bharani moon is elemental. It rises from your being like heat from fire. You don't wait to be asked. If you love someone, you move toward them with offerings. time, energy, touch, protection, presence. Your giving is visceral. It's how you anchor yourself in love. Not in abstract ideals, but in deeds, in devotion made visible. And your giving has weight. When you offer yourself emotionally, it's not casual. It's not scattered. You give from the core, not the surface. You might cook for someone, fight for them, defend their name when they're not in the room. You give through action, often without announcing it, because your moon understands love as embodied sacrifice. Quiet, loyal, ferocious in its follow-through. But you don't give for applause. In fact, you may become uncomfortable if your care is overly praised. What you long for isn't praise, it's reciprocity. When your giving isn't returned, not even in kind, but in intention, your moon begins to feel hollow. You may start to withdraw, not out of resentment, but as a protective rebalancing. Your love is too sacred to be spent into a void. Bharani is ruled by Venus and Yama, a union of sensual love and sacred duty. This means your giving is both pleasurable and principled. You give not only to nurture, but to uphold something larger, the promise, the partnership, that's the sacred thread between souls. You want your giving to mean something, to feed something alive, to build trust over time. But here's the subtle trap. Because your giving is instinctive, you may forget to ask yourself, am I being fed too? You may keep pouring from your depths thinking love means effort, when what you need is a mirror, not just someone to receive you, but to return you. Not out of obligation, but out of attunement. And when you give too long without acknowledgement, your shadow surfaces, resentment, emotional shutdown, or explosive honesty. You don't fake affection well. You burn hot or you go cold. Your moon doesn't linger in places where its offerings are ignored, because what you give isn't just affection, it's life force, it's loyalty, it's your emotional signature. To deepen this kind of intimacy, give voice to your giving. Say, I give deeply, but I also need to feel chosen, not just needed. Or, my love shows through action, but I feel safe when someone notices that and meets me in their own way. These aren't requests for control, they're clarity, so your giving doesn't deplete, but connects. And let yourself be nourished in return. Let someone surprise you. Let them hold you through your tired days. Let them give without you needing to earn it. Trust that you don't have to always lead with sacrifice, that sometimes love is in letting go of effort and letting in the unexpected. Because when giving becomes not a pattern, but a partnership, when you're allowed to love fiercely and be loved fully, your Bharani moon finds the intimacy it aches for. A bond where care is not performance, but reciprocal power. A love where you don't just give to feel safe. You feel safe enough to receive the kind of love you didn't even know you needed. Intimacy of receiving with moon in Bharani Nakshatra. Receiving for your Bharani moon is both a sacred act and a test of trust. You are a natural giver, protective, action-oriented, emotionally loyal. But when the flow of love turns toward you, something in your body often tenses. You may ask, can I accept this without owing something back? Am I safe to receive without surrendering control? Your moon is ruled by Venus, planet of pleasure, and Yama, god of limits and responsibility. So you are wired for deep pleasure, but only when it feels contained and consented to. Receiving that feels invasive, transactional, or chaotic can make you shut down. But when someone gives to you with no strings, no rush, and full respect for your pace, it softens something ancient in you. You feel seen, worthy, chosen without condition. And yet, you often feel more comfortable in the role of the strong one, the supporter, the doer, the reliable force. Accepting care, especially in your vulnerable states, can make you feel exposed, maybe even ashamed. You may think, I should be able to handle this on my own. But that's not strength, it's emotional overfunctioning. True intimacy asks you to lay down your armor and let love in, not just through effort, but through allowance. Your moon also associates receiving with depth. You don't want empty praise, transactional gestures, or obligatory gifts. You want touch that listens, help that arrives unannounced but right on time, words that mean something. You don't need extravagance, you need energetic integrity. You receive best when the gesture is aligned with truth. And when that kind of receiving lands, your moon melts. You become quiet, tender, luminous. You don't perform gratitude. You embody it. Your loyalty deepens. Your affection becomes gentler. You remember the giver, not as someone who gave you a thing, but as someone who affirmed your worth without demanding your performance. Still, there's a subtle wound your moon carries. The fear that receiving will make you indebted. That if you soften too much, you'll owe something in return. But real intimacy isn't a balance sheet, it's a shared current. It doesn't keep score. It flows. And you deserve to be on the receiving end of the same devotion you so freely give. To deepen this intimacy, share your inner framework. Say, it takes me time to receive without guilt, but when I do, I open more than you know. Or, I'm learning that letting someone care for me isn't weakness, it's trust. These invitations allow others to offer love in a way that feeds rather than floods you, and give yourself permission to want care. Want affection. Want softness without needing to explain why. Let someone rub your back just because you exist. Let them bring you tea without asking. Let love arrive without you having to earn it. Because when receiving becomes not surrender but affirmation, when you let love enter your world without defense or debt, your Bharani moon finds the intimacy it most needs but rarely asks for. A love that doesn't just see your fire, but replenishes it. A bond that says, you don't have to hold the whole world to deserve this moment. Just be here. You're already enough.